Hello and welcome to another video, another Marvel Crisis Protocol roster video, but this one's going to be a little bit different. This one is going to be showcasing a couple of the new characters coming up from the Monsters Unleashed box, character box, which contains Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, mummy, and werewolf. I'm not going to be using all the characters. I was initially going to make a video just sort of overviewing the article that was released a couple of days ago, but there's other content creators that did that, and I don't really need to just like read through character cards and team tactics cards because you guys can read. So I wanted to make a little bit of a theory craft video, and because I love theory crafting, I love building rosters and stuff like that, and I'm really happy with how this one's looking. This one seems like it's gonna be really fun to play. And I am very much looking forward to it. I'm definitely picking up the Monsters box. Yeah, if you are unfamiliar with Dracula, though, he's sort of the big main character in the character box coming out. He is the one that is actually going to bring a new leadership. He is instead, though, unlike bringing a new leadership just on his character card, he is bringing a leadership in the form of like similar to Hellfire Club, where it comes in the form of a team tactics card. So it does take up one of your team tactics card slots, but when you include Dracula in your squad and your squad is unaffiliated, you can use any character in it, which is very awesome. So don't need to stress about having affiliated stuff. You use this card and it gives him the leadership ability Bloodlust, and it makes your squad the thralls of a Dracula affiliation. And his leadership ability is once per turn during an allied character's activation, it may pay 1 power and choose an enemy character within 2. Chosen character gets bleed condition, and if they already have bleed, this character may remove 1 damage from itself instead. Now, I will say I believe they will need to clarify the last sentence because I think there's some confusion in how it's worded. People are still unsure if when it says this character may remove 1 damage from itself instead, if that should have been reworded to where it's clear that the character spending the power should be healing instead. Because right now you could take it as this character, as in Dracula, is the one that removes 1 damage from itself, even if other characters spend the power to use this ability. I don't think that's what it is. I'm pretty sure it's designed to be everyone can heal off of it if they need to. And so, yeah, I'm sure they'll clarify, but I'm pretty sure that's how it's supposed to be read. So I wanted to build a list around that. It's nice to be able to just sort of choose and pick whatever I wanted to. There are some characters that I own that I haven't played with yet, and I really want to, Namor, for example, and Bishop and Nightcrawler. And I wanted a list that sort of does a little bit of everything. That's why I call this roster Drac of all trades. I love my wordplay. And so this list has quite a lot of movement. I really love mobility, especially after playing Asgard, where being displaced and moved really sucks. But playing with Loki and, Jane has a charge. I love having mobile characters, but I also wanted characters that can still, chase down. They can have the mobility to chase down squads that are relying on lots of movement themselves and to grab extracts and to run away and stuff like that. But I still want characters that can put out a decent amount of firepower where we can bully those teams, but also still stand up to taller, more attrition-based teams for Asgard, for example, which is very popular. And yeah, so I came up with this list. We're going to run through it. Obviously, I'm not going to run through every single character card, but I'll talk about sort of why each character is in the list and sort of a general idea. We will talk a little bit more about Dracula and Frankenstein's monster because those obviously are the newer ones. Again, you'll notice that I don't have the mummy or werewolf in this list. I believe those are the 2 weakest characters in the character box, in my opinion. But they're still really solid. I just think I don't really have room for them in this list. I think I probably could include them. This list might change just because we do have Blade in this list, and I believe other than Dracula, the other characters are going under the Midnight Suns affiliation. So we could have like a dual affiliation with Blade if we want more movement, for example, in certain matchups, or we could run Dracula as our leader. But let's start with Dracula. Dracula is the big bad, 4/3/4 defense, so solid there. 7 health, very tanky, 3 size, medium move, and 5 threat. However, he's medium move on a medium base, so he has quite a bit of movement, and that's another thing about this list is there's quite a few of models that actually are medium move, medium base. So we have quite a lot of movement just naturally. But he is an extremely scary model. He's got a lot going on. He's got a lot of cool things. Just his builder being 7 damage, a 7 at strength builder is amazing. And with a very easy trigger, just getting 1 hit lets you apply bleed, slow, root, or hex. And you have like a 90% chance off 7 dice to get a hit symbol. So you're almost guaranteed to apply one of these really relevant hexes, and they're all quite strong. I think hex is probably one of the biggest ones. It just definitely makes our characters more tanky, and it affects their defense and dodge rolls as well, so it makes them more susceptible to getting killed by us, which is always nice. His blood feast is nice if he really sort of needs that heal for bullying. Obviously you don't want to use this against really, really strong defensive models, but picking on his lower models to heal yourself is always nice. And it's a guaranteed bleed, but his big one is his spender, where if they have the bleed condition, you can reroll all your attack dice off 8 strength. That's a lot of rerolls, probably, and it's very, very strong. Not only that, you get a guaranteed size 4 throw, which is super cool. And it's a throwaway medium, so it's a pretty large throw. So you can sort of get Hulk out of there if you really need to, stuff like that. But he's got a lot of utility, which is the best thing about him. So he's got Hypnotic Stare. He can choose an enemy character within 3 and advance them S. Super amazing ability there. I mean, range 3 is a very long range. So very good against Asgard, where we want to displace them, so they have to spend an action to move. It definitely lowers their lethality. And then he has Internal Hunger as well, so he can have some really, really strong counter attacks. And it's very, very scary because obviously if you get attacked and you get a decent amount of damage on you, this ability isn't restricted by having to use your 0-cost attack. You can just do an attack against the attacker. So if they hit you and they do a lot of damage, you could do this ability and do your spender if you want to, which is super strong. Another really, really strong ability is Shapeshifting. This gives him a lot of movement. He can give himself flight for a move, long range for a move, or he can drop all objective tokens, remove all special conditions, and up to 2 damage from this character. He's going to be extremely tough to take down if you're just doing chip damage, because he also has Unholy Vampiric Immortality, similar to Blade's ability, where you get a power and a damage for each other character within 3 who has bleed. Unlike Blade's, though, it's range 3. Blade's is only range 2. So you get quite a lot. And nice thing is, on both their abilities, it's each other character. So even if your characters are bled themselves, you can get some benefit off that as well. So that is very easy to do as well. So like if you're attacking someone, you're pretty much always going to get bleed on them on one character at least. So you're already getting an extra power and healing 1 at the end of your turn. And then on top of that, you could do Shapeshifting for healing another 2. So you could effectively be healing 3 a turn fairly easily. So unless like you spike and kill Dracula in one shot, like this character is going to be back to full health very easily. And that's not even including Blood Feast, where he could potentially heal off that as well. So super crazy strong character. And he does have a medium base. So again, medium move plus medium base. And he can also be a medium, or he can be a long move medium base with Wolf. Now, unfortunately, because he only generates 1 power a turn, unlike Namor or like Angela, he can't grab a midline extract turn 1 from deployment unless another character gives him a power, or another way, he gets a power from somewhere else. Loki, Prince of Lies, he is obviously one of the strongest characters out of the new Asgard team. I think he's probably the best character out of that box to sort of fit in other rosters. But he's just got great displacement. He's deceptively tanky. And again, having Asgards in our team with Dracula's ability is really, really nice, because we have extra power thanks to getting 2 power a turn to be able to apply those bleeds or heal off of bleeded characters. But he's super strong. I mean, go forth, excellent teleportation for our teammates. Again, this sort of helps along that line of being able to move characters and help chase down characters if we need to. But the big thing as well is when we're applying bleed to so many opponents, like we're ideally just going to have their whole team bleeding the whole game. It's a lot of damage that's stacking up over time, but Oh My What a Pity will amplify that. So if we're pinging them with Oh My What a Pity plus they're bleeding, they're going to really have to make the decision of like, okay, maybe they have to shake that bleed to avoid dying, or they'll just use their action and not shake the bleed and just daze or KO themselves. Yeah, just an incredibly strong character. Plus, long move, so super mobile. Next up, we got Namor. Namor is one of those long-range movers plus medium base, so he is a safe line, midline extract grabber if we need him to be. He is getting extra power just like an Asgardian, but the big thing is he's sort of one of the cards that we want, or characters we want to include against Asgard, particularly because he can apply Stagger. But he's really sort of good anywhere because like his spender, he can force characters to drop asset tokens. He can have some displacement. He can interact with multiple objectives. Like his spender's so incredibly flexible, and it's only 3 power, so it's very, very easy to use. Obviously, his main downside is he only has 2 range attacks, but he does have a charge, which is very, very nice. You do have to do at least 1 damage to get the stagger off, but I think that's fairly reliable. It is also nice. He just has Baron Zemo rerolls, charismatic leader, so himself and characters within 2 can reroll 1 dice. Super nice there. Big thing though, Atlantean Might, damage caused by this character's attacks and effects cannot be reduced or prevented by superpowers or team tactics cards, which is very relevant against Asgard because obviously they want to, if they're trying to keep someone alive, one of their biggest cards to do that is Odin's Blessing. So if you're unfamiliar with that card, they can spend 3 and reduce any amount of damage to 1. So it prevents that from happening. So if we need to like make sure we finish someone off, we're going to use Namor and try and push into them there that way. Next up, we got Blade. He's just another character that can really get benefits off bleed. His spender, similar to Dracula's, being able to reroll any number of attack dice for a character that's bleeding is very, very awesome. He's got excellent mobility. He's just a really, really solid 4 threat. Not much to say there. And he is, again, if you're not going to be spiking him out, his vampiric immortality is going to be even better in a list like this when we're going to have so many characters that are bleeding. Which is just super, super fun. And then we have Frankenstein's Monsters. This is another new character. Another solid 4 threat. Like 4/3/3 is all right, but 7 health is sort of the big thing. He is sort of another extremely difficult model, I think, that is going to be trying to kill because he does have a self heal for 2, healing 2, which is super, super nice. He does have a charge. And so even though all of his attacks only are 2 range, it's perfectly fine when he has a charge. And he is a medium move on a medium base, which I was actually quite surprised. I was sort of thought Frankenstein monster would be a small move on a medium or large base, but I'll take a medium move on a medium base. And he's got a throw. And he's got a character throw attached to his spender. He's just a really, really cool card, a really, really cool just brawler, I think. And he's definitely a character that like sort of like Hulk, where you don't really want to chip damage him. You really just want to try and kill him in 1 shot or 1 turn if you can, because if you bring him down to like 2 or 1 health, I mean his spender can end up being 11 or like 12 dice spender plus a size 4 throw potentially. So very, very strong model, I think. Very, very scary indeed, but also another character that can potentially apply stagger against Asgard. I mean, I say Asgard, like stagger is really good against just anyone, but any other tall attrition-based team, stagger is really, really detrimental to them. So having multiple characters that can apply stagger is really, really sweet. Next up, we have Bishop. So Bishop, just another solid 4 threat, but it is sort of nice if we want to but fight against other sort of gun lanes, because he has a decent 4 range attack. But also when we are sort of on the game plan of trying to kill stuff, being able to apply incinerates is always a nice thing. But he is just a character that in the right matchup and in the right objective setting where characters are grouping up, his spender can potentially be really, really scary. It is a 7 dice base, but when you choose the attack, you can spend up to 3 extra power and get 1 extra attack dice for each power spent this way. So it can potentially be a 10 dice spender, area 2, which is super, super nice. And you get to choose which attack type it is. And that's the big thing, is like, even if we need to just kill like 1 character, we can choose their weakest defense, and that can make a big, big difference. And it's a cool displacement, so we can push him off objectives as well. And he's got a big thing as well, is he has a character and terrain size 4 throw in 1 ability. And it's a throw medium, so it's pretty decent. It is nice that he doesn't have a character throw attached to an attack. It's just, he can just throw characters or terrain whenever he wants to. And he is going to be, again, sort of one of those characters that's deceptively tanky thanks to his mutant energy absorption, sort of a reverse pierce. Obviously, we have to be careful with overload. We don't want him taking too much damage, but the nice thing is with Dracula's leadership ability, when we're applying bleed so much, he can sort of counter that if we needs to, just spend a power and heal 1. Very, very nice. And Nightcrawler. Obviously including Nightcrawler against the teams where we really just want to chase down characters. He's got a really cheap spender, but it can potentially be, 6 or 7 dice spender for 1 power, which is not bad, and potentially getting an extra attack off that is very, very sweet. And yeah, he just really wants to be teleporting around. He's got a little bit sort of like a pseudo stealth, which is nice. And yeah, not much to say there. He's just a solid threat, solid 4 threat. His Ungloblix acrobatics, first time saying that, also makes him even tankier against physical and energy, which is sort of the most common in the game. Getting, potentially being a 6-5 defense against those. Again, with the heals from Dracula, again, going to be another difficult model to take down with 6 health. Next up, we have Scourge. Scourge, as Guardian, so it's very, very easy for him to apply that bleed. But it's nice having a bodyguard ability that just really wants to get in there and brawl. But also, he's just a beatdown character, really. And I'm mainly including him. There's probably better characters I could include here, but I did want to include him because he is a character that does get benefits off characters that are bleeding. So his spender is you get a reroll up to 2 attack dice during the attack. So it's just an 8 dice spender, which is a very, very solid spender. But being able to reroll 2 dice and convert those, that ups the damage quite a bit. Yeah, he's got some extra movement as well, being medium. I believe he's medium base, medium move as well. So having aggressive on top of that is super nice. Actually, he might be small base. I can't remember. But either way, aggressive, always nice to have that. We have Baron Mordo next. I have this guy in my Asgard list. He's super, super awesome. Again, just has a lot going on for a 3 threat. Obviously, we don't want him in the thick of things. He's sort of a backline character because he's got 2 range 4 attacks, but he applies very relevant status effects. On top of that, we are able to apply Hex with Dracula, which is sort of nice, and we can actually use Soul Barb to potentially get multiple hexes on other characters if we want to. But the big thing we're playing him for is Ferocity of Sidorak. So for 2 power, whenever another allied character within 3 targets an enemy character with an attack, Baron can use his ability, and that character gets to add 2 dice to its attack roll. After the attack is resolved, the attacking character suffers 1 damage. Now, the nice thing is, because again, we're going to be applying so much bleed, we only need to spend a power to a character that's already bleeding to heal that character, so we can counteract that damage. So it's super, super nice. So for example, if Baron is within 3 of Blade, Blade can get the benefit for the 2 attack dice off his katana, for example. He gets a guaranteed bleed off that. Sure, he takes a damage for it, but he gets to turn his katana into a 7 dice builder with a pierce, which is very, very scary. And then on top of that, once he takes the damage, obviously his vampiric immortality can heal him, but he can get extra healing off of Dracula's leadership ability as well. So we can really sort of nullify the downside in this roster with Ferocity of Sidorak, just making all of our attacks super, super strong, or making the attacks that we need to be strong much, much stronger. And thanks to Master of the Occult, we can use that ability fairly effectively. And then last but not least, we have Okoye. Again, I'm mainly just using her because I own her. But ideally, I think obviously the biggest 2 threat in this list, or the best 2 threat for this list, probably would be Wong. He's sort of in everyone's list, I think, because he's just an amazing 2 threat. But we do have characters that can make use out of that extra power. Extra healing is always good. But we could also play something like Honey Badger. I think Honey Badger is also really, really solid, I think, in this list when we're trying to kill things. So, yeah, I might try Honey Badger as well. I think I do have a 3D printed version of her, but I just don't own the official version. But yeah, that is the character list. Pretty happy with how sort of everything synergizes. Obviously, there are a couple of slots that I could swap out. I think Okoye and Scourge being the weakest ones. I could definitely swap better 3s and 2s in there. But I, again, sort of want to use some characters that I just own naturally. So let's go over Team Tactics cards. Obviously, Team Tactics cards going to be a little bit... Our Team Tactics roster is going to be a little bit weaker just because we don't have an affiliation. And they don't have a set of roster cards for the Thralls of Dracula affiliation, which is unfortunate. But... yeah, we already talked about Thralls of Dracula, so I don't need to talk about that one. We can talk about Hideous Monster. This is Frankenstein's Monsters Team Tactics card. It's another bodyguard ability. So when an enemy character targets another allied character within 3 of an allied Frankenstein's monster with an attack, the allied character may spend 2. It's sort of nice that Frankenstein doesn't have to pay 2, because he's pretty power hungry and his builder actually doesn't give more than 1 power. You can place Frankenstein's monster within 1 of the allied character and he becomes the new target. After the attack is resolved, if he is not dazed or KO'd, Frankenstein's monster rolls dice equal to the number of damage he has, and the enemy character suffers 1 damage for each crit and wild rolled. I love these abilities. After playing Thor number 2, I love these sort of counter-attack abilities. They're all super scary to play against. And it's super scary on Frankenstein's monster too, because he has 7 health. So if you end up spiking and like bringing him down to 1 health, he's rolling 6 dice, and for every crit or wild, they're taking a damage. So pretty good potential to get a couple, 2 to 3 damage there. Prince's Protection is going to be Namor's card. Again, this is sort of a bodyguard roster as well. It definitely makes us flexible in protecting the characters that we want to, and it's just very, very annoying. My friends hate Okoye. They hate playing against Okoye, and I just absolutely love bodyguard abilities. It definitely makes your opponent really have to think, and puts them in some pretty difficult decisions. So when an enemy character within 3 of Namor targets an allied character with an attack, Namor can spend 2. You get to place Namor within 1 of the attacking character, and Namor becomes the new target. So it is a little bit different. So as Frankenstein's monster teleports within 1 of the allied character, Namor teleports within 1 of the attacker. So again, very, very flexible bodyguard abilities. It's nice that there's some diversity there. And then after the attack is resolved and Namor is not dazed or KO'd, he may push all enemy characters away within 2 away small. Which is nice, just extra displacement, really good for just protecting those secure objectives and whatnot. For restricted, we have Patch Up and Brace for impact. Not much to say there, just very, very staple, amazing cards. We do have a lot of healing in this roster, so maybe Patch Up isn't as necessary, but Patch Up is always still nice when we really just sort of need to make sure someone gets out of killing range, and we have fairly high health characters in our roster, so Patch Up is just usually much better in those lists anyways. Trickster's Boon is going to be Loki's card. We, again, be unaffiliated. Oh, wait, we have to have Asgard. All right, I'll have to change this for some other card. I didn't realize that you have to be Asgard affiliation, which sort of makes sense. I thought it was just sort of Loki having to be it. That's sad. Oh, wait, I'll switch that. I'm guessing, I don't really know what I would switch it to. Again, we don't have too many cards we can choose from. I should have read this. It says requires Asgard affiliation. I think I was just so used to including it with Loki. I was like, oh, this is just a Loki card. This isn't an Asgard affiliation card. All right, Recalibration Matrix. Again, we don't have much cards we can choose from, so we're going to be choosing that one probably. But it's always just a very, very solid card to have if you don't need any other cards. It's just a straight up, potentially get out of jail free card. If your opponent spikes and you don't spike, I mean, it's just really, really nice. But when we are rolling a lot of dice, if we get a lot of crits and we just don't get a lot of conversions off that or something or whatnot, I mean, we can always just force something, but yeah, it's just a solid card. Fallback is really nice. Just lets us reposition if we need to, but also lets us prevent characters from picking up extract tokens if we happen to drop them. Just very, very nice there. Joint effort, we're going to be pretty brawly with characters within 2 of enemy characters. So potentially getting, 2 or 4 extra dice off our attacks just makes ourselves much, much more killy. And then last but not least is Survival. So this is one of the newer cards. It's not out yet. This is going to be coming in Apocalypse's box. But I think Survival is a really, really solid one. It's just, yeah, it's a very, very interesting card. You play it on an injured character, spending power equal to their threat level. And then they essentially drop all objective tokens. But until the end of the first turn that round, they can't be damaged by enemy effects, use reactive superpowers, or use reactive team tactics cards. So it's sort of cool just being able to protect one of your injured characters for a turn. So it's important when we have characters we just really don't want to die. If they get dazed in a previous round and they have a ton of power and we really want to make sure, if we have priority, for example, or if we don't have priority, we really want to make sure we can get something done with that character. We can spend Survival, make sure they live for a turn, and then we can activate them next with all the power they gain from getting dazed, and then sort of go off from there. So I think Survival is just a really, really strong card. But yeah, let's just think of what I would replace with Trickster's Boon, because we obviously can't have that. But again, there's really not many cards we can use. I guess probably Grievous Wounds is probably the big one. I mean, we could use Mass Transit, but I mean, I really, really hate Stagger. But I mean, it could be some potential there. Yeah, I think I'll just probably slap Grievous Wounds in place of that. I mean, Grievous Wounds is nice. I could also swap Giant's Blood in. I mean, Giant's Blood is pretty good as well. Just very, very effective movement. Yeah, let's do Giant's Blood. It's nice. Yeah. All right, Giant's Blood is the new card. Very, very easy. And then, yeah, that is Team Tactics cards. So next up is Crisis. I'm not going to spend too much time on Crisis stuff because it's pretty straightforward. We do want crises that are sort of E-shaped, but we want sort of flexible crises. I mainly just picked fun ones that I like. I mean, Montezzi formula is interesting. It's nice getting some beam stuff going on. Hammers is always good. Again, we have characters that can do midline safe extracts, but we do have characters that just have a lot of movement as well. So being able to pick up objective and then move away is very, very nice. Scrolls is super nice for us because we have a lot of medium move, medium bases. So the center line objectives from deployment, a medium base, medium mover can move once, pick up the objective, and then move away. Still have an action to move away after that, which is nice. For secures, we have Sword. Sword sort of pushes everyone into the middle. Again, we don't mind having objectives where we have to spend power because we have quite a few characters that get extra power per turn. So that's not a problem there. And then Demons Downtown. I think Bishop's my only character that's immune to Incinerate, but Blade can shake off Incinerate if he needs to for a power, so not much issue there. But again, it sort of goes along our game plan of just killing stuff if we need to. And then Intrusions, open across city as Seals Collapse. This one, I just like this one. This one's just a lot of fun to play. And it sort of plays along with Nightcrawler because, you know, it is a place, it is a teleport when you spend a power, so it can get extra places for Nightcrawler to get extra attack dice off his spender, which is a little bit cute, obviously. But it does, again, just give us a lot of mobility so we can ensure that, you know, characters can't run away from us, but it can set us up for some really, really strong turns. For example, like Bishop, if we have like, if Bishop is one across the map and there's like a big group of enemy characters on the other side of the map, we can use Bishop, teleport across, use his big area to spender, and potentially get a lot of damage out that way. I think it's just a very, very fun setup. I think there's obviously a bunch of different Crisis cards that could work for this team. This is probably gonna be the area that I'll fiddle around with the most, but I just wanted to pick some crises that I thought were fun and that I have experience with. But yeah, that is gonna be my Drac of all trades list. Really, really fun looking list. I'm thinking I'm really gonna enjoy playing this one, I think. So just gotta wait for the box to come out, unfortunately. The nice thing is it is on Tabletop Simulator, so I'm probably gonna try and get some games in against people and sort of test things out, and maybe we'll fine tune some things there. But thank you so much for watching. I will be back, of course, with some more stuff. I think next video will definitely be a non-Marvel Crisis Protocol video, or at least maybe a different take on it. Maybe I'll start working on like my definitive guide for Marvel Crisis Protocol that I definitely want to work on. But other than that, definitely want to get back to some like traditional board game stuff because there's definitely other stuff that I've been playing and I really want to showcase on the channel that I haven't done much of. Like I want to go back to Too Many Bones, for example, because my friends and I have been really, really enjoying that one. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will catch you all later.